Welcome to Business Today. I'm your host, Pat Trotter, and our guest today is Tim Weeker from Nye Community Coalition.
Yep, thank you.
And I'm glad you came in to see us today. One of the things that I had talked to you about and I wanted to discuss with you is what Nye Community Coalitions do for career development. And I thought I'd let you take over from there.
Sure. We have two different adult workforce programs, a youth program and adult program, and that's what we'll really spend some time with today. And if we have a few minutes in the end, we can touch on the youth program. But for job seekers, and adult program means 18 and over. Mm-hmm. And the adult workforce program that we operate, Career Connections, does not have income limitations to it. So we have services for those that are unemployed, but also for people that are underemployed. Mm-hmm. And so, we're not necessarily for low income or for folks that are facing challenges today.
All right.
So it's wide open to everybody. But for, for a job seeker, mm-hmm. for somebody that's looking for work, we have, for somebody that's been out of the workforce for a while or that needs to sharpen up their resume, we have classes. We have a weekly orientation class that really lays out all of the different services that we have for people. And you can come in and become a client, which doesn't cost anything. None of our services cost an individual or a business anything other than a commitment.
Right.
So we are asking for people to invest in themselves. And then we have classes on resume writing, dress for success. We have a keyboarding class. And we're actually looking at adding a number of different types of programs and classes right now just to help people sharpen their skills. There isn't hardly a position or a job today that doesn't touch a computer. And if you got displaced, if you were doing the same job or has had the same career for 20 years, you might get on Facebook and check and see what the grandkids are doing or the kids are doing, but you might not be able to, get around a Word document or basic things with Excel. And we really want to, if we don't offer those services now, we really want to.
Right.
So there are classes. We also have a resource room, which is basically a computer lab where we have jobs posted right now in Pahrump and Nye County. And actually we have quite a few jobs in the Tonopah area posted right now. So it's a great place to find out. This week I know of 9 different full-time positions
wow.
that we'll be adding right now. So anybody that says there are no jobs in Pahrump is not trying. I'm aware of probably 75 jobs in Nye County that are open right now, the majority of which are full-time.
Wow.
So you need to become your own advocate. I mean, somebody that's not willing to stop by, to call, to reach out, is not investing time in themselves.
Right.
And that's where, mentally, that's where you need to be at first. And if a job seeker, either unemployed or underemployed, you need to invest in yourself first. And then we have some resources that can really help launch you and be more prepared. We are not an employment agency. Mm-hmm. Our job is to have people more prepared for work. And I think we can do a pretty good job if somebody makes a commitment to invest some time in themselves.
Tim, where is Nye Community Coalition at?
A great question. For those that have been in the community for a while, we are located in the former Mance Elementary School, which is on the corner of West and Wilson Streets. Our address is a little confusing. We're at 1020 East Wilson, which is the road on the side. The entrance is actually right off of West. The easiest way is we're basically behind Walmart. If you turn on West Street between Carl's Jr. and Wells Fargo, We're 2 blocks down. You get to the stop sign, take a right.
You're straight across the street from Nye County School District office,
We
aren't
are
you?
absolutely right across the street, and the pre-K program for the district is right on the corner of our property.
Okay.
The school district is our landlord.
Okay. And a phone number where...
Excellent question. Yep. We're at 775-727-9970. And our Career Connections office is open Monday through Friday from 8 to 4:30. When it comes to these classes, we ask people to register, but you can stop by anytime, call, find out what the schedule is. But we offer these different things I'm talking about every week.
And my understanding, we had talked previously, my understanding is that that's, as far as the classes, that's just the tip of the iceberg as to what you guys will do to try to help somebody gain employment, even though you're not an employment agency.
Right. You know, really what we're doing is I'm actually a job developer, and I am actually kind of working the business side of the house. Now, we help people get ready for work, but what a great advantage to have when we find employers that are looking for people that we're getting ready for work, and we can bring people together. And that's really what we're trying to do an even better job with. So I'm actually out meeting with businesses almost every day and talking with businesses, identifying what they have. If we find, it's like in the Tonopah area, we're working with a solar plant that's going to be go online about the end of the year. And they have a process where actually everybody applies online, but we need to get people to understand what those jobs are and then where to apply for those.
Right.
So there's a lot of different ways. And once somebody actually gets a job offer, if I'm coming to work for you and say, Tim, you're the perfect guy, can you start next week? But I'm working outdoors, for example. We have a document, it's called the Letter of Intent to Hire, that if my new prospective employer completed, I would bring it into Career Connections, and if I needed work boots, this program could probably pay for those for me.
Wow.
If I needed cold weather, I'm from northern Wisconsin, so cold weather here is a relative thing for me. But if you're spending 8 or 10 hours a day outdoors, you're going to need some protection from the wind and the temperatures. We can help with that. If the job requires a physical or a TAM card or sheriff's card at the expense of that new employee, we can pay for things like that.
Wow.
If you don't have money to put gas in your tank until you get your first paycheck, we might be able to put gas in your tank a couple of times. We call those supportive services, and once I would have become a client, I'm going to learn that those types of things are available for me.
And what exactly, well, I just noticed we're running out of time on this one,
Okay.
so we'll be right back after these messages. Welcome back to Business Today. I'm your host, Pat Trotter, and my guest today is Tim Weger from Nye Community Coalition. Thank you again.
Hello.
Before the break, we were discussing some of the things that a potential employee, somebody that already has intent, you can actually help that person in a lot of ways. And I wanted to touch a little bit more about that. And I want to also, before we get through with this part, I'd like to go over what you can do for the employer as well.
Absolutely.
But finish telling me about what you can do for the potential employee.
Yeah, so there are a few limitations with this program. The money for this program comes through the Workforce Investment Act, which are federal workforce investment dollars. And it's really intended to help people that are gaining permanent employment. So that's one of the conditions. And it needs to be a position that is 30 hours a week or more. Okay. Which we have been finding out there are a lot of those in the area. So again, it doesn't, it's going, a 15-hour a week position, that individual won't apply, or the funding won't apply for that. But we still get those types of jobs. So if somebody's just looking for supplemental income, we still have those kind of jobs. Okay. And that's what we do, is we promote those jobs. But so it applies to any for-profit business. and quite a few nonprofit businesses. There are a couple limitations, but we don't have time to get into all of those today. But for the most part, anything that's permanent, 30 hours or more, the new employee has to be a Nevada resident, so not just a Nye County resident. So we have so many people that are working in Las Vegas and living here. I mean, they can even afford to make a little less money and still be ahead, you know, in their household pool of
exactly.
So anyway, if whether somebody hears about this and they just got offered a job, or an employer says, God, that'd be great if you could invest. I mean, we invest anywhere, you know, from a few under $100 to several $100s, and whatever seems to be a barrier to help somebody get started or to be successful starting that first day, that first week, we can have a conversation about that. And it's always a little bit of an individual situation, but our case manager and that new employee will figure that out.
Now, Mike, I have a quick question for you. If, let's say this person is putting them to work, but they're going to be a contract employee, in other words, they're independent contractor, how does that work?
It's a very clean line.
Okay.
It does not.
Okay.
It has to be an employee.
Okay.
Independent contractors are basically free agents of themselves. And the idea behind this program is permanent employment positions. And with contractors, I mean, some of those are long-term, but many of them are not.
Correct.
And so, the same thing operates with our on-the-job training program, which is really what I'm involved with. And that's how we can help a business, for example, that's on the fence. Can we afford to add another employee right now? You know, sales are getting a little better, things seem a little more stable, but I'm just not sure if we're ready or not. And even if we have, for example, again, if you had just hired me, even if I was going with the same position from one company to another, or I had a history out of state, it's still going to take me time to come up to speed on what the processes are at the new employer. So what this does is it's a 50% wage reimbursement back to the employer for up to 12 weeks.
Wow.
So it can be significant. We are, again, it needs to be a permanent position, 30 hours or more. And I work together with the employer, and we write a training plan, and it's as simple as, for example, the first couple of weeks or the first third of the term, under close supervision, Tim will, and some bullet points. Mm-hmm. The second third is going to be under limited, supervision. Tim is able to, the same type of thing with more responsibility. And then at the end, under little or no supervision, Tim should become a full functioning member of the team. So there's a little bit of reporting that goes with it, but the reward back to the company is pretty good. And
when you figure that they're getting 50% of the person's wage for roughly the first 3 months, that can amount to a sizable amount.
Yeah, I mean the individuals and the businesses we have on this right now, over the term of the training, it's anywhere from probably $1,500 up to several $1,000s per person back to the employer. So, and we still have money to invest in people right now.
We're going to take a short break, and we'll be back with him in just a few moments. Welcome back to Business Today. I'm your host, Pat Trotter, and my guest today is Tim Weger with Nye Community Coalition. We had, before the break, we had touched base on your career development, and I just wanted to kind of recap that if we could. Basically, you can help any potential employee that is going to be permanently hired for 30 hours or more and is a Nevada resident, correct?
It sounds like we're 99% there, so we always like to have that little safety net. But yeah, that sounds like that covers it. And once we identify this person, I'll have a conversation with our case manager.
And one of the other things that you do as well, and kind of a recap, if you're a potential employer, folks, and you have a job that you are considering putting somebody else on talk to Nye Community Coalition because they can also assist you for the first 12 weeks if your employee is going to be permanent position and 30 hours or more. Did I cover that, Tim?
Yep, and we'll have that conversation and with a prospective employer. And the one thing we didn't mention in the last segment too is that we can also help employers find new employees. So I'm actually had talked earlier about how I'm aware of 9 new full-time jobs that are coming this week.
Right.
That's because we're going to be posting those for employers, for 3 different employers. And so they're going to help look for people. We're going to help them look for people, and we'll bring people together. And it doesn't matter if we find that employee, if an employer does, or if it's a combination of both. All of these programs still apply.
Okay. And Nye Community Coalition is not just in helping people find employment. Nye Community Coalition, and that's where what I liked about what the name is, coalition, is you were telling me briefly during the break that you guys actually have some other things that you do. Tell us a little about that.
Sure. So we have 3 divisions, just recapping really quick. Career Connections is the adult workforce division of the coalition. Youth Works, which we're kind of known for our food, is the youth workforce program, and that really focuses on education first for the youth in that program. And then kind of our original focus and primary focus is prevention, wellness, and coalition or community building.
Okay. So, and when you say community coalition, tell me exactly, I mean, you had mentioned something about, during the break, Holiday Task Force.
Right.
Tell me a little about that.
Sure. So what the coalition really is, on a day-to-day basis, people see the staff. That's not the coalition. The coalition is really a group of more than 60 individuals and organizations that come together for the greater good of the community. And by the community, I don't just mean Pahrump. I mean Nye County, Esmeralda County, and Lincoln County that we work in. And the coalition actually has about 5 different committees. And you mentioned the Holiday Task Force, which is probably one of the most well-known because we bring everybody together and have Thanksgiving together and Christmas dinner together. But this committee of all volunteers comes together, and it's a lot of the faith leaders, volunteers in the community. It's people from the food banks. It's people that have an interest in getting involved with the community. And this group, as a standalone, will go out into the community and raise the resources that are needed, which are dollars and food donations, and then invest the time in preparing these fabulous meals and that bring everybody together, whether they come because they're hungry, whether they don't want to be alone, whether they're looking to, like I mentioned, teach volunteerism to their family, the importance. I mean, so many job skills come from volunteering.
Right.
Just learning how to show up and follow direction and things of that nature. And we have committees that's very active called Community Outreach, which is really looking at some of the most basic needs of the community. And that group actually has a subcommittee called the Community Crisis Intervention Committee. And that's a smaller group of people that when a short-term emergency crisis is identified, and that might be a family that's rolling into town, somebody might have just got a job offer, but they can't get across the block. They don't have enough gas. They don't have any food at all. How do they get through the next 2 or 3 days? And usually the people on this are kind of the known go-to people in the community. So if the sheriff's office identifies somebody like that, they know who to call. If we see something, we know who to call. If somebody in the faith community says, we know who to call. So none of these organizations as an individual can help, have the resources to help these people, but together they do.
Okay.
So that's another example.
And that's where Nye Community Coalition comes in. It actually just pulls everybody together to help better the community.
Yep, whatever the need is, whatever the challenge is. We have another group that it's called an Assessment Planning and Evaluation Committee. And a lot of grants that we apply for, and the school district and other organizations do need current data on different things. That's what this group focuses on. So.
All right, we will be right back after these messages. Welcome back to Business Today. I'm your host, Pat Trotter, and my guest today is Tim Weger with Nye Community Coalition. Before the break, we were just basically talking about what the coalition does. My understanding is last week you had a tremendous get-together that you did for car seats. Tell us a little about that, if you would.
Yeah, we have a grant from the Office of Traffic Safety that allows us to, throughout the county, inspect child car seats. So if somebody has one, they don't know if it's properly installed or not, or they got it at a shower and they don't know how to install it, we can do that for anybody. And we do that on a weekly basis at our location. So we'll hit on our address and phone number again at the end.
When you say a weekly basis, Tim?
Every Friday.
Thank you.
Every Friday.
At what time?
Well, it was over the lunch hour, but the temperature's warming up, so we're reevaluating the time of day that we're going to do those.
Fantastic, because there are people out there, and I know, hey, I'm not sure this car seat feels loose in my car, and I know it shouldn't. So how do I get it tight? And that's where you guys come in.
Yeah, and if people stop by, we accommodate just about any time, but we're just for staffing and scheduling. The training was actually very intense. I actually personally am a certified car seat and technician.
Wow.
But it took 4 days of testing and 4 days of training with 4 days of testing.
Wow.
And not everybody passed. So, but we, for anybody that's on any type of assistance, we can provide a no-cost child car seat to the primary caregiver. We don't have enough funding to offer it to
like grandma and grandpa.
Yeah, that only have the child, a couple times a month. But we're taking those on a case-by-case basis. So we do have that available at our campus at 1020 East Wilson. At 727-9970 to call for information. But we do have that service available on an ongoing basis.
For those that don't know, his address shows up as East Wilson, but he's actually on West Road. Okay?
Correct.
The office entrance is on West Road. The address is on Wilson, but you will find the entrance straight across from the Nye County School District offices.
Correct. And we're basically behind Walmart.
Okay. And tell us, briefly, we've touched base on the wellness part. Let's go a little bit more. What else do you do as far as wellness goes?
Well, on the prevention and wellness side, what we do is we partner heavily with the school district and with the sheriff's office and some other organizations. And kind of our background is alcohol, tobacco, and other drug prevention. So we have programs that keep reoccurring to help people quit smoking. Next week, we're about to start a diabetes self-management class that'll run for 6 weeks up in Tonopah. We have a chronic disease self-management class in our arsenal. We're about to launch yoga. We actually have a new employee that's certified in yoga, and she's starting with staff, but it's going to become a community offering. We're looking at all kinds of different things. We have other organizations that will be bringing programs at no or very low cost to the coalition. So it's never a bad idea to check in with us and see what's new, what's going on.
So it sounds to me like what the best thing to do, if you're not sure where to find something, maybe the best place to start is Nye Communities Coalition, because it sounds to me like you guys could point them, if you don't have the service, you probably point them in the right direction, correct?
Right, and actually one thing I haven't mentioned yet is our website. Well, it will become a better tool very soon because we have a calendar in the upper right corner and we're easy to find. We're just at www.nyecc.org. So just 5 letters, nyecc.org. And everything you wanted to know about the coalition and more is right there.
So, recapping just a little bit, tell us some of the main things that you guys are involved with right now.
Well, I think on the career development side, the workforce side, we have actually participated in a couple of job fairs in the last few months that were heavily attended by job seekers, and employers really like that as well. So we're starting in May, on May 10th, actually on the second Friday of every month, we're going to be launching a monthly job fair on Friday mornings. Okay. And the first one, like I mentioned, will actually be on May 10th. So we're in the process of securing and finalizing employers, and then we want job seekers to come prepared to talk to a prospective employer. The last one we did, the community followed our instructions, our suggestions pretty well, and came dressed appropriately, had copies of their resume with, and if they weren't quite ready yet, they had stopped into our Career Connections office ahead of time, because we can help them sharpen up that resume ahead of time and help them, again, be a little more prepared to make that first impression with the job seeker. So that's coming up, the first one on May 10th, and we're doing it every month.
Okay, once again, tell everybody where you're at.
The Nye Community Coalition campus is located at 1020 East Wilson in Pahrump, which, as you mentioned, the entrance is off of West Street, right across from the school district office, and our phone number is 727-9970, or on the web we're at nyecc.org.
All right, folks, that's going to wrap it up for business today. I thank you for joining us, and Tim, thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.